For more, I'm joined now by former Israeli ambassador to the United States, Dr. Michael Oren. Dr. Oren, great to have you with us. Now, there are so many different sides to be placated here, but ahead of each controversial move, we see protests and pushback. And just like, for example, with the US embassy move or even the effective annexation of East Jerusalem, we hear warnings that the move will be dangerous. And each time, well, not much happens that significantly changes the game. Could it be different this time?
The only reason it's different is because the opposition is coming from a different place. The majority of the bulk of the opposition to annexation is not coming from the left this time, it's coming from the right. And with the claim that President Trump's peace plan will actually create a Palestinian state, it will divide the Israeli settlements, it will make it impossible to travel, for example, from Shiloh to Jerusalem without going through Beersheba. There are lots of arguments that are being advanced, but that is the major threat to Prime Minister Netanyahu, because he has to convince the right wing in his own party in the Likud to go along with this plan.
So, Dr. Oren, we might see, of course, the right-wing factions that are trying to put a stoke in the wheels practically, but we did see some 6,000 people protesting in Tel Aviv overnight. And I suppose the question then is, when it comes to issues around security and how dangerous it could be, what really are the concerns here? Could this be dangerous, or can the government move forward with this despite perhaps opposition?
Well, first of all, 6,000 people is a negligible number. There are 400,000 people have gathered in Rabin Square. And look at the pictures. They're flying communist flags. They're flying Palestinian flags. This is not, I would say, a strong statement of the Israeli left. On the contrary, it's rather pathetic. But there is a very strong opposition from the Israeli right wing. And some settler leaders have gone as far as to characterize President Trump as anti-Israel, as a danger to Israel. His peace plan is a trap, a Trojan horse. That is very serious for the prime minister.
Right. Would you say, Dr. Oren, that these security concerns are founded?
The security concerns always have to be founded. They have to proceed on the assumption that, that annexation could lead to widespread unrest on the West Bank, or perhaps a sort of an undermining of Jordanian stability. They have to prepare always for the worst case scenario. If it doesn't happen, good. If it does, the IDF and other security forces want to be ready.
And looking at these protests overnight in Tel Aviv's Kikar Rabin, people were flying more Palestinian and communist flags than Israeli ones. And the Palestinian anthem was sung, but not Hatikva, Israel's national anthem. What's your take on that?
As I said before, it's pathetic. And if it's designed to influence Israeli public opinion in some way, it'll influence it. It'll rally, I think, the majority of Israelis, certainly center and even moderate right, around the government and away from these protesters. No one wants to be identified with that.
And the United States peace plan, though, would see the creation of a Palestinian state. And now, as we've talked about, right-leaning politicians and settler leaders, they're saying they can't support that. And then the left-wing demonstrators, of course, you're calling 6,000, say, a pathetic turnout, but they say it will create an apartheid state. So neither side seems to be open to any sort of compromise when it comes to Judea and Samaria. What kind of a position does this leave Netanyahu in ahead of July 1?
I think that if I understand the prime minister's position correctly, is that without annexation, then the Trump peace plan meets the same fate as any other peace plan, and there have been dozens over the years. Nothing happens, and eventually the Palestinians basically have a veto over the peace plan. Since the Palestinians actually don't have a yes in their vocabulary going back to the 1930s, that means that the peace plan is stillborn. There's also the Trumpian diplomacy, whose first doctrine is anybody who leaves the table pays a price. So the Palestinians have left the table, they have to pay a price this time. And so in the Trump-Netanyahu world, the annexation, rather setting back the peace process, actually animates it and saves it. I know that's difficult to wrap your head around, but that is precisely the way they're thinking. This is the only way to get the peace process moving. Now, it is actually a heavy lift for the prime minister, because the Israeli right knows full well that in that peace plan is a Palestinian state. Yes, it's not a Palestinian state on the 67 borders, but it is a Palestinian state, and a Palestinian state that will divide Israeli communities in Judea and Samaria. And the Israeli right is profoundly opposed to that. So there's your battle line. There are no surprises there. You could have seen this coming really since even before the Trump peace plan was announced. And these are the battle lines.
Well, certainly, and let's hope that maybe there is a new chapter to this story. But as you say, it's not looking like it is making any new waves. Dr. Michael Oren, thank you for that insight.
Pleasure to be with you.